Disclaimer. I am a law student, and the legal information provided is not legal advice. For that, please hire an attorney. Hey, Chud. Come back in here. When you're able to. People get out of neo-Nazi groups. Would Bostock v. Clayton have implications for being able to sue on the face of transgender healthcare discrimination? So the answer is yes and no, right? So basically...
Hey, sorry. You were a bit ahead or behind or something.
You're all good. You're all good. I'm just reading a comment because actually it is relevant. Would Bostock v. Clayton have implications for being able to sue in the face of transgender healthcare discrimination? So, like, lawyers have been, like, this was something that was talked about at the conference I referenced earlier. Some people have already tried, like, some lawyers have already tried to broaden that, basically the policy argument that, the government has a vested interest in protecting the rights of trans people as a protected class, and B, that on the basis of sex kind of language, wherever it is seen means that when sex is considered at all, that includes trans people, right? People are messing around with it. It's something which is kind of a long shot, but like but from what I understand and from what was discussed over at the conference, there are lawyers who are trying it, and it is seeing some degree of success, right? Like there are some courts which are beginning to adopt that language in other contexts, right? So it's possible, but it's not the greatest argument right now, just because like it's like one problem with it is that it's not like it's persuasive authority, as we would say, right? Like there's different kinds of legal authority. There's something called primary, secondary, and persuasive authority, right? Primary authority is like authority that is like case law or statutes that apply directly to where you live or your jurisdiction. Secondary authority are laws which exist, but in other jurisdictions. And then persuasive authority is like dicta or things which judges don't have to follow, but they can if they want to, right? In this case, it would be persuasive authority because judges don't have to follow it because it pertains to employment discrimination. But it is certainly persuasive to some judges, so we're beginning to see that a little bit more. Right now, the best argument, I think, is under the ADA. And this isn't great. Chud, I'm not sure how much of this applies to you because you're over to the UK. UK people, I'm sorry, this conversation applies to the US. Over in the US, the ADA, or the American Disabilities Act, I believe is what it's called, does prohibit, and again, like this, it's not politically correct, but it's something in the toolbox. It prohibits discrimination on the basis of any disability or disorder, and in the law, it does still list gender disorder or gender dysphoria as either a disability or disorder, and you cannot discriminate on the basis of them. It's not a very politically correct argument. It's not, but it is something which exists in the tool belt. So that's one of the main ways that people who are trans who are discriminated in healthcare are able to get protections. It's not great. It's not great, but it is something which is on the books right now, and that is primary federal authority. Yeah, I'm sorry. So, Chad, how have things been on your side?
Yeah, good. So what's this law thing you're talking about?
Law thing? Yeah, it's just this weird nebulous thing. It really doesn't matter to most people. I mean, I don't know. Like people just vaguely make it up as they talk about these subjects anyway. So I mean, like at this point, it's just fiction, right? Everyone's just making shit up as we go along. It's basically. Oh, hey, Demon Mama joined my Discord. What's up?
In all seriousness. That was great. Yeah.
Thank you.
You know, I come to this stuff with a fairly super, like I would never watch a Blair White video about trans issues like to that degrry because I just don't have the knowledge to kind of debunk it, you know?
Yeah.
My analysis tends to be Blair White is pee pee poo poo, right? Like that's the kind of level I'm at. And then
a lot of people will agree with you on there. So I don't think you're gonna get too much pushback.
But then I'm watching you, I'm like, okay, this is quite interesting. And you're like, basically like this. There's your fucking document full of sources to completely tear apart everything you said, and I'm like, damn, there's people out here that are actually fucking doing shit. You know what I mean? Very, very, very good stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, listen, it's like all I'll say on that is that, like, I don't know. The thing I always worry about is coming off as like too dry or boring. But like, I also acknowledge that, like, I see a lot of like, the debate bros or like people who engage in this sort of discourse, like, constantly will like they like usually the way that they'll structure their arguments is by vaguely gesturing to scientific authority, but not actually citing to it. That just hits me the wrong way, because like in the law, like, we are taught to basically cite to everything, because that's how you know that you're credible, or that's how judges or the opposition like knows that you're credible, right? Because no one fucking takes you at your word for anything, motherfucker. No one trusts anyone beyond the words that they have, or beyond the citations that they give, right? So I mean, like, I don't want to come off as boring, but like, I also acknowledge, but like memes are important, right? The memes are very, very, very important.
Well, I mean, I've got a take on that, but anyway, the point is like, I think the key thing is, you can maybe have someone that does like a more superficial analysis or whatever, but I think the key thing is like someone like yourself, or like Jangles, as well as someone that does really good, well-researched stuff about trans issues.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, there's probably other people I could think of if I was, but you get my gist, yeah? Like, it's directing towards that path, so you can be like, hey, look, I'm just here to fucking shit on someone, but if you actually want the arguments, if you actually want the sources and the data, here are these people that give you a lot more, right?
Oh yeah, no, I totally agree. Like, here's something that I've been saying for a while. There are so many different kinds of creators on the left, and I think that's a good strength to the left, right? Also, thank you for people to subscribe, or for subscribing. But anyway, like, it is good to have a variety of creators, because there's a variety of different kinds of people who consume different content, right? There are some people who really care about like the empiric data and the authority and, being able to debunk something with facts and logic, right? And then there are some people who are just here for the memes, right? And it's good to have that, like, it's good to, like, it's fighting the war on all fronts, or being as effective as possible. And then that way, when you run into, like, someone is directed to your audience and they're like, hey, where can I go to like find the authority on this? Or, hey, where can I go to find the memes? Or where can I go to find, whatever other, kind of content that I want? We can just direct them to other content creators, and it's some pretty good shit.
The way I liken it is, traditional TV broadcasting is you'd have, potentially hundreds of channels, and then you look through and you see what you want to watch, right? Like, everyone's always going to want their content to appeal. Everyone's content to appeal to what they like. So I hear it all the time. Oh, you're doing this, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with. You're not pushing leftism forward. You're not doing this. You're not doing that. And it's like, well, cool. Go and watch another channel. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Imagine if you've got 100 channels, right? And you choose to watch a channel. You don't like what's on, but instead of turning the channel over, you start.
Oh, sorry, you cut out there for a second.
The TV for not fucking. Yeah, I was just saying, like, imagine you berate the TV for not. You know what I mean? Like, you'd be like, what the hell are you doing? Like, just turn it over, right? Like, it does get frustrating. It's kind of like, let's just let people do what they want, as long as they're not hurting anyone, But
oh yeah, no, I totally agree. Like for me, because I've been trying to figure out like what I want to talk about and what I want to do with my content, right? Because fundamentally, I want to make sure that I can have some degree of authority on the things I'm saying. I want people to believe me. I want people to be able to trust my opinions and be able to like, believe the things I am saying, because like that's kind of the point of what I'm doing here. But also, I want to make sure that I'm doing things that fundamentally I enjoy to do. Right. And I'm the weird kind of person that enjoys talking about law and study. I don't know, like Jangles has said similar things. He and I are two of a kind. Right. But it's but like, because of that, I've gotten some people who have come to me on like gaming streams and been like, hey, let's debate like the basis, or let's debate like super far left economic theory. And I'm like, I fucking don't know about far left economic theory. Are you kidding me? I studied law and like in like social issues and like civil rights, like why people come and, if you want to debate like economic, like who's like a good leftist for like economic theory anyway? Like who would be who would be someone good? I'm actually asking that authentically. I know that there are people like probably like, there are some like Twitch panelists, or there are like some Twitch debaters or whatever who are like a lot more in depth on like economic theory. And I know that like Vosh has talked about it a decent extent, like Zan even a little bit, but like, like that, I don't want to pick that battle, at least not right now, not until I learn more and I study more, because like, it's not as interesting to me at this point because I'm primarily studying the law and like society and social issues, but also just because like I don't want to promote myself as an expert on those issues and give people a false sense of believing in me when I could just be blatantly wrong, right? Like I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I have all the answers. I'm not going to pretend like I'm the smartest person in the room. I'm fucking not.
Yeah.
But like I would like to think that at least on the issues I do talk about, that I presented enough evidence, or I present enough evidence that people should believe me. Is essentially my take.
Yeah. I agree. And one concern I have with, is the idea that someone would get like politics from me. Like it kind of scares me a bit, because it's like, especially like only from me. And I think that's something people need to be aware of. They'll go to one content creator. Everything that they say is law, right?
Yeah.
Everything they say is correct. And they'll just then become a mini, less well thought out version of that person in their arguments. And, they'll just rehash their arguments to people endlessly without kind of thinking for themselves a bit,
Yeah. Oh, no, I completely agree. And I'll say this to my audience. You better not just fucking believe what I say because it's me and you like me. Fuck you. If you do that, you're just as bad as the people who follow more conservative content creators and just listen to everything that they say without questioning them one goddamn bit. All right? You're just as bad as them. Question everything that I say, or at least question the things that I don't support with evidence, right? That's why I do try to present evidence. But like, if you do just believe me because you like me and I'm a pretty face and I sound persuasive, then you're just as bad as the people who like follow Blair and similar people. I'll be the one to say, I'll call you out. I see you out there, you fuckers.
Yeah, sure.
I don't even care.
I mean, just to be clear, like, I don't think I'm some great political thinker to the point where people are getting the politics from me, but like, I can just envision in the future, like, CHudlogic said this about something, and it's like, no, don't listen to what I say. In fact, don't listen to anything I say. Don't take anything I say seriously. No, I'm just memeing.
No, you're all good. But yeah, no, I totally get it. I think that it's just that like this is a problem because one thing I will say, like the caveat is like be skeptic, but not like to the point where it's almost debilitating, because like I do think that there is like, and this might be slightly symptomatic of a problem on the left, where like we can be so skeptic of certain people, or at least people with views which disagree with ours, which are like all leftists, but like different flavors of left, right? We can almost get so caught up in those distinctions that we end up like being sort of caught up in them and not able to actually like be able to do meaningful political activism and respond to like opposing arguments that just aren't from the left, right?
Well, I'll tell you one thing I've noticed about Twitch, YouTube, content creators, right, is that essentially a lot of the drama that you see boils down to personal differences and personal beefs with the aesthetic of politics, right? And that can go a couple of ways. So normally when people are in like a really fucking egregious disagreement with each other, it's because their personalities are clashing.
Yeah.
Rather than explicitly being about political issues. Further from that, I think some people will turn what are essentially personal beefs. They'll appropriate social justice type language onto that personal beef and make out like, because I don't like this person, I'm going to position it in a way that they're causing harm to the community, right?
Some people will. I think I'm going to be basically in the debate later where those kinds of claims will be made, or something similar to them, without getting in too deep into it, because I'm going to be moderating and I'm coming in as the objective third party and all that. But I hear you.
And it's kind of frustrating, and I don't mind a bit of drama and stuff, like, and a bit of spice and arguing, but it's when there's real personal rifts that occur and shit like that. I just think that's kind of childish, right? Like, let's just fucking be the adults here and have a conversation. And, like if me and you had a really spicy conversation and we got frustrated with each other, I would walk away from that as like, okay, that's it. That was the conversation, we're professionals, sort of, Oh, well, that applies to me more than you, but yeah, exactly.
Hold on, I will say something spicy about this, just because, and again, without getting into specifics, right? As I've gotten to know other content creators and I DM and I text and all that, I think that there is an expectation that people, once they get to a certain size on this platform, or whatever platform we're talking about, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, so on, that they become a moral authority as well as a academic one. Right? That it's just like, once someone gets to be so large, the reason that they got to be so large is because they're someone that leads the community. They're someone who sets an example. They're someone who I should emulate and someone who I should act like and adopt their ideas. The problem with that is that, like, let's be clear, your size as a YouTuber, Twitch streamer, whatever, does not reflect your your emotional maturity or
Correct.
the strength of your ideas, right?
Correct.
You can get to be
Yes.
you can get to be any, like, you can get to be massive on YouTube, you can be massive on Twitch or whatever. That does not mean that you are an emotionally stable or an emotionally, like, all well put together, morally correct person, right? It just means that you happen to have been the most entertaining person in the room and you've been able to appeal to a conglomerate of audiences.
There's that aspect to it, which I agree with. But further to that, it's also about your ability to market, branding, a bit of luck as well.
Yeah.
You know, getting someone come along and view content that's bigger and going, I'll shout this person out. Like, it's got very little to do with the quality of your arguments. And if someone wants to make the argument that's the case, well, unfortunately, PewDiePie is the moral arbiter or whatever of YouTube then, if that's the argument, right? Because he's got, what, however many subs now.
It's just insane. Isn't it over, like, I'm sorry, I'm about to say this number and people are probably going to call me out as being wrong. Isn't it like 100 million? I remember it was just like such a crazy,
over 100 million. It's
just such a crazy number. Hold on, I have to look this up right now. Oh, I see myself streaming. That's a great picture. PewDiePie. Okay, let's look at this. 106 fucking million.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I just died a little bit inside.
And look, there's obviously people out there we both speak to, engage with, whatever, like other content creators that engage in this, and it's kind of frustrating. You don't want to go on Twitter and call it out because it seems a bit sort of childish. Yeah, I kind of just want to say to those people, like, stop making arguments about yourself and your position based on your sub count. It's capitalist bullshit.
Yeah.
Subscriber counts and followers are designed by they're designed by the fucking social media platforms to keep us engaged with their platform, right? Like, that's their primary purpose, in my opinion. You know.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. So, like, when we're talking about, like, you know, looking at certain people and expecting them to be like we're expecting them to be the adults in the room, or we're expecting them to, you know, control the conversation, you know, keep all the little children in line and keep everyone, you know, like, I get that sort of like what would feel like an implicit expectation. But like when you actually look at some of the people, I feel like how we got here actually isn't that hard to see, right? I feel like it becomes pretty easy to recognize that not everyone with a huge subscriber count is necessarily like the best leader or moral standard, or, you know, whatever you want to say. It's not saying anything against them personally, right? They're all fine, good and dandy people, right? This isn't like attacking them personally. But when we're talking about someone being like the adult, or some people being the adults in the room, right? You know, that's not like, we can't always automatically expect the people at the top to do that. That's all.
Well, the other problem is we're socialized to be competitive. So,
that's,
you know,
also
social
true.
Media numbers play into that perfectly. So the platform's benefiting all these people fighting over getting most more subs or whatever. And then people are like flexing on each other for it. And it's like, fucking hell, come on, cut it out.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, people can get way too bogged down into like, I mean, like, that is something that causes people, I think, to become a lot more antagonistic towards each other. And I mean, it's hard right now for me because, like, I'm trying to understand the perspective of those people, and I'm able to a bit better now than I was able to before, as I've gotten to know more people and I learn more about their experience just from like them telling me. But like, I also am someone with less than like 5,000 subs, so, you know, it's not like I have a personal experience to be able to represent like that sort of a perspective, right? More streamer cooperation, yes, Demon Mommy, got it. This is great.